Hey, what's up guys? Michael from Karate Breakdown, trying to bring back practical karate. Today I'm going to go over some commentary on a recent sparring match I had. One of our students at a local jiu-jitsu club, he was able to do his schoolwork, study for law school, and get his belts. Kudos to you. Good luck in the future. I'm going to go over some commentary and also some solo drills that kind of accommodate those. The biggest thing I want to talk about today is you need to do your katas as if you are sparring. I see kata work as a spectrum of, coordination drills, like walking through the pattern as a basic thing, and then slowly adding more aggression, slowly adding more torque to that kata to the point where it looks like you're literally fighting a shadow image of your opponent. And that's like the end of the spectrum. Unless you're working a particular part of a technique, the full technique should be shown through the kata itself. That's where my opinion kind of varies and differs from other people who are very formal and very rigid in their kata learning. I think of kata as just a huge spectrum, right? You do basic shadow boxing with a jab, and then you add some footwork to it, right, with that jab. And then you imagine like you're sparring and you're actually doing your head movement and stuff like that. There's levels to the solo drill, just like there should be levels to your kata. And in that sense, your kata eventually becomes an image of how you spar and how you fight. Your kata becomes you. You become your kata, right? When everybody is forced to stay rigid and formalized in just the pattern that they're doing, it kind of pigeonholes your preferences and your fighting style into something else, right? Into something that everyone else is doing. And again, if you are bigger than your instructor, smaller than your instructor, faster, slower, less flexible, more flexible, it kind of forces you to become something that you're not naturally at. With that said, let's go and look at this footage here. So first of all, we go right into a shoulder throw. And just to pause here, I shoulder throw as he's rolling. I'm snapping his head down and then trying to take his back, right? So this knee drop shoulder throw, it reminds me a lot of Pinan Godan. So if you guys go here and up and you turn and drop, right? It's the exact same movement. I'm going underneath somebody, my feet pivots here, and instead of stepping into a drop, I'm just spinning and going down and dropping my shoulder to my knee. And I'm always thinking about putting my head to my opposite side here. So if you think about that, you could drop down on one knee or you could drop down on two knees. You could do it at the same time, or you could do it as a step, right? Depending on the floor you're on. I wouldn't do a double knee drop on concrete. I might slide in and try to slide and try to roll with the person as well. But you're also trying to think like how are the different ways I can apply this depending on my opponent, depending on my partner's reaction at the time. So right there at the beginning of the video is kind of cut off, but I got him to take a big step back, which created this huge space underneath him. So I drove into him, I dropped down, and I was able to roll him. And before he was able to come up, I snapped his head down and stepped around and took the back, right? So there's all these thinking about the different ranges, right? Before he was able to get too far away from him, I was chasing him going forward. Before he was able to lift his head up and drive into me, I pushed his head down and jumped on his back. So we're here going back and forth. We get grips. I'm driving my head into him, and I try to go for an outside trip here. Nice. And this is your Naihanchi sweep, right? So right here, all I'm doing is grabbing collar sleeve or grip behind the neck and a sleeve, and I take him one direction as he follows me, and then my foot sweeps up and I try to drive him like a big circle to the other side, right? So I'm sure you guys done this type of drill where shuffling sideways and turning your foot. I always tell people turn your foot into a hockey stick so that you're really hooking their foot as you're trying to sweep it out. And the biggest thing here is you guys noticed there was a delay, right? It wasn't immediately he falls over. I held the foot up a little high, made him hop a little bit, and I turned the big wheel as his bottom half went one direction, his other half went the other direction. I like using this plate here as a way to drill that motion, right? So if you guys think I have a weight, somebody's upper body, turning the big wheel one direction as my foot goes the other direction, and just hold it for a little bit. And this is a great one, a great drill, just to work this twisting, torquing type of motion, like you're throwing something off to the side here. And this is a great drill. I do this practically every night. So moving on to the next one, collar sleeve, mess with that foot sweep. Go for the outside trip. He was doing a really good job stiff arming me away. And there you go, another foot sweep, and this one was more of a sacrifice throw, right? I went in front of him here, and he defended that. So I was thinking, I need to overcommit for my next one. So instead of just doing the same sweep, I did the sweep, and I literally twisted hard enough so that I fell on top of him, right? It's what type of energy will your opponent give you. In this case, my first attempt was defended. Therefore, my second attempt would have to be a little more aggressive, a little harder. And therefore, I decided to take him all the way down and go for a sacrifice throw and get on top of him. Here we go, Naihanchi Sandan with the guillotine. I felt his head go too far, and I just wrapped this and lifted up. Pretty self-explanatory there. Right here, he tried to do a sacrifice throw on me over the top, and I was able to kind of do a handstand and get out of there. Now again, that was the funny part. He tried to duck under again and felt my arm wrap, and that felt like a threat to him since he got choked out the first time, and he backed his head out of there, which is exactly what he needs to do. Right here, we're about to set up for a hip toss. I have my arm over the top with a belt grip, right? And my hips is gonna come in, and I'm gonna pop my hip up and turn over. This reminds me a lot of any of the pasais, right? If you're doing this thing. Reminds me a lot of Naihanchi Nidan, this thing, especially with his wizard type of grip. But he had an underhook on me. Instead of trying to back out and face him again, I'm gonna reach over the top and grab the belt, get my hip in front of his hip, pop him up as I take him down. All right, the next one here. Here's the outside trip. Again, this one's a cool one. It reminds me a lot of in Kata when you do punch, punch, kick, punch, right? Punch, punch, kick, punch. And this pull back here with the leg coming reminds me of a lot of that Osorogari. So I'm here and I reach out and I hook behind his leg and I punch forward as I throw this leg back. And I'm really just trying to drive him into the ground here, right? So this is a great solo drill that you can do, just swinging one leg up and touching with that same arm down. And I'm always trying to think about hooking behind somebody. I always like that hop, especially if they're far away trying to stiff arm you. You could still hook behind the leg, hop yourself to it, and take it down, right? All right, this is a throw he tried to do on me earlier, so I just did it back to him. I was a little mean about it. One cool thing about that, some details. A lot of people, they think when you put your foot in someone's hip and you sit back for the throw, that you're trying to roll backwards. Instead, I always think the analogy is like a shovel, like I'm shoveling something, flipping it up, right? So if I'm putting my foot into someone's hip to throw them up over my head, I'm actually trying to dig myself underneath them with that initial hop. So my center of gravity is underneath theirs, and then I drop straight into that, and that's gonna lift them up. Because a lot of times people think I'm gonna plant here and just roll straight back. And usually what happens there, and what I did to him, was I would just follow that and just post out, right? Because you're thinking he's not underneath me enough, he's trying to just drive me at that 45. Instead, you wanna think, hop in and go straight up, right? And that's a very different feel, but you'll notice you're gonna lift them up from underneath them a lot sooner, and it's gonna result in a more successful throw. Now we're gonna do like a bow and arrow choke, rolling bow and arrow choke, one of my favorite chokes from my time in training. There you go. Well, hope that makes sense. You know, everything to me, I see it in the lens of kata. Some people might see this and be like, hey, this looks like judo. Hey, and I'll tell you, yeah, it does look like judo and also looks like karate to me, just because karate to me is a grappling art with strikes, right? Imagine what we're doing just now, and you've heard me say this, imagine what we're doing just now with strikes involved, right? Within the clinch, throw that knee, throw that elbow, soften them up, make them react to that. And now all the throws take a lot less effort. You're not trying to like go around things, or you're not trying to push against somebody who's stiff arming you, or trying to set up all these nice grips and stuff like that. The grip game disappears, all these little tricks and need to off balance and stuff kind of disappears when you throw a strike at somebody and make them react to it. They're naturally going to try to hunch over. They're naturally going to try to block it. And you guys notice when you're in the clinch and you're trying to block something, my posture gets compromised, right? And your goal is to try to do that to somebody else, right? So that's why like everything's kind of back here with the back straight. And even if I'm trying to block a kick, I'm trying to block with my posture straight up. And that's kind of how like the katas look, right? It looks very formal, very rigid, very very technical in that sense. And it's because you are trying to maintain that posture. And then when you do try to attack, the posture breaks on your terms, and then you're right back. You're right back to maintain that posture as you're trying to attack and defend at the same time, right? So hopefully that makes sense. It's been a while since I've done this type of commentary. Hopefully this format's kind of cool for you guys. I was working out. I figured I'll put the mic on, set up the tripod, do some video. It's been a while. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you like this type of style, I'll just keep trying to crank these out whenever I can. All right, peace, train hard, fight easy.